Hello. Conrad, can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello.
Linda?
Yes.
Oh, hello. Good. Okay. I'm just going to be with you shortly. We're waiting for a few more people to join.
Your voice is a bit down. Let me see whether I'll get an earpiece.
Okay.
Hello. Hello, Phyllis. Hello.
Yes, I'm trying to see if maybe I need to put up my volume.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, the voice is too down.
Can you hear me better?
Yeah, I can hear you
Okay.
better.
Okay. It was my volume.
Yeah. Before everybody comes, were you able to access the new email I sent?
I haven't tried yet. Over here it's just 9 o'clock, and so I was sorting things out for this morning. So I'll try it
Oh,
again.
okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. That's fine. That's good. Mm. So the host is Kofi
Yeah.
Robert.
I,
Hello. Hello, Conrad.
I think he maybe hmm,
Okay. Yeah, I
they,
think he's not.
yeah, he'll come back probably at 9. He
Yeah.
makes sure that it's on so that people can join.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mhm.
That's fine. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I'm glad you were able to connect easily.
Oh yes, yeah. I actually came from Tamale, I think 1 hour ago.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I just went to the office to use the internet before I go to the house. I told you I was having a workshop in Tamale.
Yeah. I remember.
Yeah, yeah. So we closed last night, and I couldn't get a car because of the voting. Everybody's trying to
Oh,
come home.
that's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
everybody's coming home. Huh?
yeah, yeah.
So how are things in Ghana right now?
A bit tense. Let me
Mm,
say that. Yeah, there's a, a lot, a compilation of tension
boy.
everywhere. So it's actually easier to be in the house immediately after voting, not
Mm-hmm.
to risk. Yeah, not to risk
Yeah,
anything. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's a slow morning.
Yeah.
All right.
Uh,
I'm waiting to see if um, Audrey was going to be on, because
okay.
today it's the two of you that will be hopefully you won't
Yeah.
be the only one today. Um,
Okay.
so I have Audrey and then yourself. And I was
Okay.
thinking that I would have Audrey go first this time, but if she's not on time, then I'll just
Mm.
let you go.
Okay.
and that way we don't waste any time,
Okay. Okay.
because it's about
Yeah.
a minute to go. So we'll see.
Yeah. I would also wish to add something, or you add something during the introduction.
Uh-huh.
The last time I think I omitted myself as a member of the social justice movement. So if you can add it to it, it will be,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I'll appreciate it. Yeah.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. How are
Good
you?
morning, comrade.
You're doing fine. How are you all doing too?
Good, good, good. It's cold over here. I don't know how it is at your place, but
We are in the 50s.
oh wow. Okay. Mm. Let me see, where would I put that?
Linda, how is Bolga?
Burger is good. It's actually warm here, so we have a dusty wind, but it's in the afternoon and it's
Okay.
warm. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the Hamatan winds, dry Hamatan.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good.
Good, good. Looks like a slow morning today.
Yeah, I saw another lady, Anaba.
Yes, Linda is on. She'll be
Okay,
speaking today.
all right.
The presentation from looks like we have company.
No, no, it's your uncle. It's your uncle. Give me.
Mommy's coming.
Hmm. Is Brother Dan on? All right. Who else do
Good
we have?
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I was wondering
Oh.
whose child is at the background.
Yeah. Oh, well, they muted, so I guess. It is a very slow morning.
Yen did indicate that he would be going for some funerals, so
Oh,
he wasn't sure if he will be able to make it. Linda, have you been in touch with him?
No. Let me call.
and Brother Dan isn't on. So who will be starting the meeting today?
Yeah, Ian has just sent a message. I'm at the funeral of the head of our clan. If I'm not able to be around for today's forum meeting, could you kindly welcome on my behalf, touch on the elections, and irrespective who wins, we have to develop on the PAG. I don't know if I have a local standing to do that. He's officially vice, is it acting interim president? What is his title again?
Interim chairman.
Is it interim chair? Oh.
Yeah, or something, I don't know.
Okay, well, should we just go ahead and at least start the general meeting, the town hall, and perhaps others will join, or do we want to wait for a few more people?
I suggest we'll wait. It's just 9:08 here, maybe somewhere to a little 8 minutes past the start time. So you can give maybe up to 8:15, 8:20, see what happens. I mean,
okay,
20 minutes after.
all right. Because Audrey isn't on either.
In the meantime, I'm fixing myself a cup of coffee, so I'll join you guys in 2 minutes.
Okay, well, I'm having mine, so.
Yeah.
Well, hello. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How you doing?
Good, good, good. We're still waiting for a few more people.
Oh, okay. Should we just, I guess it's 10 after.
Well, I had suggested that, but Brother Eugene was suggesting we wait at least another 5-10 minutes. So
really, that long?
Well, Linda is here, so we can. I think it would be helpful to at least get started, and others will join later.
Yes. I think I agree with that, because it's 10 minutes already.
And apparently the Yen is at a funeral, so he's not going to be.
Not going to join. Okay. All right. Yeah. To me, as we have our speaker. We have.
Great.
So I think we should be able to start.
So should we welcome everybody and get started?
Yes, I think we should.
Is there anything that needs to be said before, just to introduce the group and so on?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that. Let me go ahead and do that. Or Dr. Olson is here if you want to take them. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes. I just came in, so I
yeah,
sure.
we were still waiting for others to come, and Brother Yen is at a funeral, so he's not going to be joining.
And do we have all our speakers here?
Linda is here, so she can get started. Audrey is supposed to be here. I haven't heard from her. She sent her notes, and but I haven't. I sent her a reminder yesterday, so. But I know Linda is here and is ready to present. So.
Okay. Well, all right. Good morning for me, and I guess good afternoon for folks in Ghana. This is, I think, our third in the section of PAG town halls on social justice issues. And I think we are ready to get started. The topic itself is social and economic justice, access for Ghanaians, and what are the barriers. We've had two sessions on social justice, including a session on whether we should call it social justice, but for the purposes of discussion, we will use that and not debate that issue. But more importantly, as the country approaches an important election, many of us recognize that the election has boiled down to Ghanaians just simply having to choose their poison, because it's an impossible choice, and the discussion is about which of the two candidates or which of the two parties is less corrupt than the other. So we accept that they are all corrupt, but the choice is which is less corrupt, which is a rather sad place for a country to be. this is part and parcel of why PAG exists, because we are, developing an organization that we expect to run on ethical lines. I think what is happening in Ghana is clearly there is total ethical erosion in the country, and ethics have nothing to do with any of the political processes that take place. And the absence of ethics in a society leads to a lot of social injustice, because without ethics, it means there is no accountability, and people suffer without any redress, and the government has absolutely no role in true governance. That is, they are not accountable to the people or the suffering of the people. So this is a big part of why PAG exists, and we expect with our constituent organizations, principally including social justice movement, that over the coming months we will formulate our program towards our political agenda for the next election. So with that, I will declare this meeting open, and Phyllis, if you want to formally introduce our speaker, Linda Anaba, that would be great. Thank you, and welcome everybody.
Thank you very much. Welcome once again to everybody. We will get started on our Town Hall number 9 for our social justice presentations. Today, we have invited 2 speakers, Linda Anaba, who we heard from before. She gave a dynamic presentation last time, and Linda is going to be continuing with us again today. And secondly, hopefully, we will also have Audrey Bafo, who will also do a presentation on the second part of our social justice section. So let me introduce Linda so that we can get started. But before we get started, can I ask everybody, before we get started, please mute your system until you have to speak, so that there is no disturbance from the background. Also, when you want to raise any question or participate in the discussion at the end of the presentation, just put your comments or indicate your hand, and it will be queued. And I think Brother Dan will queue the those who want to either say something, participate, or have a question, and we will take it from there. So without further ado, let me introduce Linda so we can get started.
Before you introduce, I've just realized Audrey is in case she wants to go first. Yeah.
Okay, let me just check on that.
Okay.
Audrey, hello. Oh, she's muted. Hello.
Yeah, hello,
Audrey?
how's everything?
Oh, yes, very
hello.
Good. Great.
Yes.
Okay, well, it's
sorry,
good
that MTN is acting up, so it keeps on, it's not stable.
Okay, well, you know what? I wanted to have you go first. And so since you are here, we were just about to start, but Linda alerted me that you're here. So that's great. Okay. So we will have a change of plans and have Audrey go first. And so I will introduce Audrey, and then we can get started. This is great. Okay, so I will give a brief background of Audrey's career and interests. Audrey Bafo spent most of her career as a banking and administration professional, with many years of experience in Nigeria and Liberia from 1988 to the mid-90s, climaxing with her role as Vice President of Eurobank Liberia Limited. She's currently country representative of Ghana and operations manager for Nigeria at the Wellbeing Foundation Africa. However, the more recent and fulfilling years of her career have revolved mainly around poverty alleviation and health initiatives in impoverished communities and demographics. Audrey has memberships and is affiliated with a variety of professional organizations. She's a board member of the Hunger Alliance Ghana, a registered entity made up of NGOs, CSOs, and faith-based organizations.
The lady is yet introducing.
Can you mute your phone? Yeah, can you mute your computer, please? Okay.
Phyllis, I think what he's trying to say is that Audrey dropped off. You know, she said that MTN was acting up, so she's not on.
Oh, I see.
So may just have to go with the original plan.
Oh dear.
Well, she's back. Let's see if we can maintain.
Is she back?
Yes, she's back.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's see what if we can at least, because I know it happened with the last time with Linda as well a little bit. Okay. Let me just continue her introduction here. Audrey has memberships and is affiliated with a variety of professional organizations. She's a board member of the Hunger Alliance Ghana, a registered entity made up of NGOs, CSOs, and faith-based organizations with a mission to build strong national partnerships and networks to fight hunger and malnutrition in Ghana. She's also a board member of the Autism Awareness, Care and Training Center Ghana, an executive member of Ghana Civil Societies Association for Scaling Up Nutrition, and a member of the communications group representing Ghana for the Scaling Up Nutrition movement. Audrey, are you still here? This is going to be a challenging one, I can see.
Yeah.
Audrey, can you
I'm fine.
unmute? Okay, can you
yes,
unmute yourself and go ahead, please?
I'm muted.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Okay. Actually, I would have loved somebody to start, but just to make sure my connection is stable. Okay. Well, my greatest concern is the rising problems with adolescents. We seem to be, everybody seems to be into politics or something, just ignoring the next 2 generations that are coming up. I think that is based on, we have high numbers of the youth being truant, addicted to drugs and alcohol. They have a lot of peer pressure. How would I say, most of the problems are from social media information, superstitious beliefs. Of course, they watch TV programs and they see religious leaders, quote, talking about instant results. And then they watch uncensored programs on TV and listen to uncensored programs on radio stations, which really affect them. I believe that what went wrong was that
frozen, or is it
kind of education?
Yeah, I think you froze for a minute.
Oh, okay. Because okay.
Oh, continue. We can hear you.
Okay. Why don't you come off video, and we will still be able to just listen to you. Maybe the video is taking too much.
Yes. Okay. So you can listen. Okay.
Yes.
I've done that. I realized that there's a what has been one of the some of the causes are the decline in the quality of education, disruption of school activities and programs. Governments that come in who change or reverse standard educational systems or programs, and then following or getting inspiration from the wrong role models, because they watch TV, they see people come in within a year, they drive the best cars, so they want to be like them. They don't realize that they have to work towards it. And then activities to motivate and inspire the youth. Most of them are also lazy. We have a lot of infusion of assortment of dangerous drugs, stimulants into the society, which everybody wants to try. And then the neighborhood and community centers that we had previously, where the youth would go and entered, they could play games, have all disappeared and have been turned into churches. So they have nowhere to go to. How it started could have actually been from canceling changing our educational system. And I believe that when we had the 5-year secondary school, sitting the common entrance and going to secondary school at a young age, where we were groomed, we formed habits. By the time we finished the 5 years, we had a purpose in life. We knew what we wanted to do. Unfortunately, the JSS system keeps you in primary school quotes for 9 years. So by the time you get to secondary school, you are in the equivalent of Form 4. You know, some people go to JSS secondary school at the age of 17, 18. And they rush through the programs. Some of the courses have been for 2.5 years. They've had 3.5 years. They've had 4 years, because every government comes to change the senior secondary school system. By the time they get there also, they have teachers who have just finished who are doing the national service in their 20s. So a 17-year-old girl going to Form 1, meeting a 25, 26-year-old causes problems. And they start having affairs. They realize that, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, having affairs, and they
Did drop out? Oh dear.
No, she's still on there, but maybe.
Yeah, she's muted herself, hasn't she?
She's muted. Audrey, you're muted.
What happened?
And I think we lost her.
I think we lost her, yeah.
Okay.
We lost her.
Oh dear. All right.
Maybe Linda will start.
Well,
and,
okay. I think what I will do then, we will have a different type of session today. We'll just mix it up. And I'll go ahead and introduce Linda. And if Audrey comes back, we will have her pick up. Is she back?
She's back, but I don't know.
Audrey, are you back?
Yeah, I think she's back.
I see her name, but I don't see her mic. So I don't know whether she's actually on or not.
Can you hear me?
Okay,
Yeah.
you dropped out for a bit.
Oh no, I mean I could. Okay.
Were you still presenting?
Yes, I was.
Well, then we lost you for a little bit.
Okay, is the network, is the MTN?
Yes,
doing?
yes.
Okay.
We lost you. We lost you. You said students were having affairs, and then after that it dropped off. So that's to help you figure out where we stopped. Yeah.
They were sorry. A lot of them have spoken to the young girls I mentor, the young ladies, and they tell me that secondary school, they passed their exams because the teachers were in love with them. They got to university, the lecturers wouldn't give them good grades if they didn't, compromise themselves. So they finished university with good grades, and went to work, got good jobs, got jobs that they were not qualified for. They were not qualified for. And of course, every company like banks and things give you targets. And of course, if you have to go and look for a client, because that's something that you've been practicing from secondary school, it's very easy for them to continue. So some of them met their targets and they admitted that, yes, they slept with their clients to meet their targets. So this is where I'm saying the educational system has not been helpful to a lot of our people. Either if you had gone to school at the age of 10 or between 10 and 13, no 27 or 28-year-old teacher would have been bold enough to say, let me have an affair with you. So this school system where, I think we have to also adjust it and also find a way to engage our youth I mean, the situation is sad. It's as if there's a competition and there's a race against each other. Peer pressure, my friends have this, I have to get it. If I don't, I lose out. The lecturers threaten them. I can't give you grades if you don't sleep with me. So a lot of them, they admit it. Some of them have told me that this is what went on. And this is how they got their degrees. This is how they got their grades. They don't read. They don't know anything. You ask them questions about what is happening. They have no idea. They're just passing through because they realize they can get to where they want to by getting on their backs. And I'm saying that, first of all, I see that a lot of subjects too have been removed from the curriculum. They think it's not important. History has been adjusted. Hygiene has disappeared. So the grooming that we had from school, even learning how to lay our beds, ironing our clothes, washing our hair, shaving our armpits, and blah, 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 are not taught anymore. So you find somebody very pretty wearing crumpled clothes. They don't care about polishing the shoes. They don't even know how to do those things. And they believe that, oh, let me just put it away. And most of the times they learn these things from uncensored programs on TV. There are so many TV stations, there are so many radio stations. I've talked to some of the owners or directors, and they tell me, unfortunately, they have a commissioning body, that is a media commission, but as far as they are concerned, media commission is dead. They are the ones who are supposed to enforce all these programs that come on. Sometimes I flip through the local channels, and the movies that are being shown are not supposed to even be shown, and they think that, most people's idea, they think that when they watch a movie, once it's on TV, it's something that they should follow. We have a lot of youth on the streets, and I believe, I see them begging, I see them stoned, I see them trying to clean your windshield. And when you talk to them, they say they have nowhere to go to. Social welfare is supposed to, and the gender ministry are supposed to be handling these things and finding vocations for them. All these children need, I've gone to the villages, I've gone to talk to people, and all they want is hope. Help us. Open up educational centers, adult educational centers, and let their district assemblies pay for it. They have enough money. They collect money from guys, they collect money from the tools that they take from the market women. They can put something together, even use an abandoned classroom, and you'll find that a lot of people want to be educated, but they don't know how. So and you have mentors to go and talk to them, or you don't get yourself, you have to do this. And all those boys on the streets, you gather them and you help them, and we get off the streets. But the government bodies are not doing it. You go past entertainment centers, you find underage children. I think there's some football game that they do on the board. You find all of them there. That's right around my corner. If I go there now, I can take pictures and send. The children are there standing. In the olden days, you couldn't find underage children at betting centers, game centers, drinking bars. They are sitting there. So I believe that we should review the JS, the school system, and see how these young children be helped. The Information Services Department should revive its mobile cinema program and go around, just put it around. The children will come, they'll watch movies, they'll watch educational movies. It's not about politics today, is this party, is that party. If I join this, I'll get something. Because they see everybody. There are people in our area who have not worked since I knew them. They just follow politicians so that they can get food to eat. They say that's the only way they can get food to eat, because they can't get jobs, they can't do anything. And then the youth. When we were young, they had things like Red Cross, St. John's Ambulance, and other similar organizations, voluntary work camps. Let them go and work. Let them give them the spirits. Right now, they don't even know how to even do a volunteer, because you send somebody to go and do something for you. Oh, I have to be paid for it. And you have to learn to volunteer, and get these little groups coming back together. Just organize the youth. All they need is hope. I have been to the West villages and I've seen the children, and all they want, when I get there, their eyes light up, because I'm there to encourage them, to tell them that after JSS is not having babies. The sky is the limit. You can go up and you can learn, just go there, just to give them words of encouragement. That's all these children want. I lived in Liberia and I saw how these children became rebels. Nobody was there to help them. They saw role models as, they saw Charles Taylor and his henchmen as role models, and they followed them. They followed them. The Catholic Church tried to do a lot to bring them back. Some of them have come, they are being rehabilitated and things like that. But we shouldn't get to that stage. All these kids need hope. And I think that we should take back our community centers and give it back to the youth, so that on Saturdays, they can play the worry, they can play the cards, they can even play the basketball, people can go and mentor them, find out what they want. They used to have people from the arts center and arts and crafts to teach them how to do maths. And those who want to learn carpentry, they do the things, and then they sell them and give them a portion of the money. So they know that, oh, I can earn a living from this. You can't earn a living from begging. And it's very, very sad. If we don't help the youth, it's not maybe the next generation and 2 generations, our country will be lost. We'll have unqualified people in the civil service. Population of dropouts will increase. There'll be a decline in literacy because nobody is reading. Local industries will suffer. Foreign industries will be left with no option but to hire expatriates to hold top positions and work. International aid agencies will bring in foreign consultants to do jobs that we can do. There'll be a breakdown of government, of course, and few educated elites who are in government will have a field day. Corruption will be on the rise. We'll lose our identities. Agric will suffer, and we will depend on imported products to survive. We'll end up doing menial jobs while people come in to take the positions that we want our children to take. And I see it happening. I've been to Elmina, and I saw 24-year-old, 30-year-old grandmothers. And I was very sad, because so many little children, so many young mothers, teenage mothers with no help. All they need is hope. So I'm just my beef, or my contribution, or I'm appealing to whoever, if we can just help the youth, because if we don't, in the next 10, 15 years, we will not have a country. We'll all be doomed. That is where I see. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Audrey. That was quite a thought-provoking session. We will wait to respond to questions and then get into a discussion. We will go straight on into the second presentation. So Linda can give her presentation, and then we will have a general discussion period. So I will go ahead at this point and introduce Linda, and then we'll take it from there. Ms. Linda, Nyaba Anaba from the Upper East region of Ghana is an enthusiastic Pan-African and professional social worker. She started working with young people at a very tender age of 16 as a volunteer to find temporary homes for street children in the Bolgatanga municipality. She soon realized they faced far more challenges than the lack of shelter over their heads, such as sexual violence, unwanted pregnancies, sexually transmitted infections, among others. After graduating from the university, she started moving from one lorry station to another and from school to school, giving lessons on sex education to young women. In 2016, Linda founded an organization called Society for Empowerment and Social Justice to help women and youth have a dignified and secure life through formal education, advocacy, and empowerment training. Her expertise in peace building, youth empowerment, reproductive health, women and gender-related issues. She holds a degree in religious studies and geography from Faculty of Arts and Social Science at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and is currently studying for a Master of Arts in Sociology of Peace, Security, and Human Rights at the University of Cape Coast in Ghana. In September 2019, Linda received a certificate of commendation from the US Embassy in Ghana for fostering gender equality in her country. She's also a member of the social justice movement in Ghana. Linda is determined to advocate for the rights of every woman, including those with disabilities, and is currently, among other things, working to revive the spirit of Pan-Africanism among young people across Ghana and beyond. Thank you very much, Linda. Can you go ahead now with your presentation?
Thank you, Phyllis. I hope everybody can hear me.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Before I begin, I would like to thank Audrey a lot for that insightful presentation. And I think I will just continue from where she stopped, because I'll be talking on streetism and affordable housing and how culture is being affected by this phenomenon. And the first thing I would like to say is that streetism in the North, or mostly in Ghana, is a bit different from what we might see in Europe or in Asia, because street children, most street children, especially in the North, are really not homeless. They have homes, but because of certain situation, they feel being in the street is better than being in their houses. So I just want to put that across and begin with the northern region, or in the Upper East. Culture have played a lot when it comes to streetism because of our certain cultural practices. In Bolga, for instance, we have beggar my neighbor. We call them tabia. If your mother don't have a baby boy, it is cultural that one of the girls stay in the houses to give birth to children. And if you are fortunate to give birth to a baby boy and you are still young, you might get married, but if you give birth and you don't give birth to a boy at a younger age, and they are rather girls, your destiny might be to still be in your mother's house or your mother's house, and take care of the children yourself. And these children are mostly not claimed by the fathers, but they are claimed by the mothers. So it have made this streetism more rampant, in that those who also give birth to these kids, the mothers in turn leave them with their grandmothers and either travel to Kumasi or Accra to be either headquarters or seek for greener pastures in cold. And going there is also another issue, the possibility of them also giving birth in the bigger cities, and leaving the kids there is another ball game altogether. So it's a bit complicated when we talk about streetism, especially in the north. In Accra, I can say that it might be more severe, because most of the big cities, I can say that children that stay in the lower parts, the stations, don't even know where they come from. And it's bringing a lot of challenges in the big cities. So streetism is actually a big deal in Ghana, and as VAG, I think we can do a lot to help. Also, aside culture, we have the rampant teenage pregnancy. Audrey already spoke about it. Most teenagers give birth to babies, children give birth to children, and they don't really know what they want to do with the kids. You see that they don't know how to take care of them, and the time you realize, these children end up sleeping in the lower parks. So the rampant teenage pregnancy is also causing a huge challenge when it comes to children on the street. And unfortunately, currently, the Upper East region is leading when it comes to teenage pregnancy. In fact, it's the highest, even it's higher than the national average. So you can see where we are. We are really, it's really serious when it comes to teenage pregnancy. And most of this also boils down to what we do, especially on funeral. We have funeral grounds that come with jams, and they can be there for a week, and you'll be surprised that a young girl can go to funeral ground for 1 week without going home. And the time she goes back to the house, she's pregnant. And it's increasing every time. And now that COVID, they are releasing or they are easing restriction, is getting worrying, because every day there is either a party somewhere or a funeral somewhere, and these girls are moving from one funeral ground to the other, one party to the other, without actually someone taking care of them, or without anyone asking where their whereabouts. So it increases street children in our cities and towns, and most of them end up sleeping in the lorry stations. We also have the the challenge that some women, especially widowed women, culturally in the North, if your husband is late, you can't remarry, but you can still have children in the name of your late husband. So indirectly, the one who fathered the child is not responsible for the child, but rather your late husband and the family is responsible for that child. And you can see the dynamics in it. It plays a lot of mind trick, especially on the one who will take care of the baby when the widow is not employed or is not self-sufficient. There is ease in discipline, and most of them don't even take care of these kids. So when the kids go out and they realize that no one is actually asking of them, and they see the street as welcoming, they don't come back home. And the time you realize our lorry parks are filled with kids that don't know their real father, but have the name of a deceased man who is their father, and they don't even know if that family wants them or not. So this drives most of them towards the street, and they keep on piling up every year round. And it's a rather unfortunate thing, and we can discuss further how to combat this. But as I said earlier, most of them, as I said, have homes. In fact, when there is danger in the lorry park, they run to houses, and they consciously know that this is my house, but they feel comfortable in the street. So we should see how can we make these houses more comfortable for them to stay, or what we can do to ease the lorry parks from a lot of kids that want to stay there. We also have this issue of foreigners, mostly those from the border town. Most of them come to the north to also look for greener pastures, especially in Bolga town and the Boku town, Navrongo town. You see most of Burkinabés, Togolese, Ivorians trooping in, and most of them also give birth to kids and leave them in the street. And it's so worrying because they have a confused culture. They don't know where they actually belong to. Are they Ghanaians? How do they behave as Ghanaians, since they are socializing with Ghanaian street children? And what do they do? And these most of these kind of children end up trying something new, which might be risky. And the security people will say that most of them are the pipeline where they call them what? The suicide bombers or vigilante group grows up in. And it's really kind of worrying because of the conditions, the poor border entry conditions and other things that is in Ghana. It makes it worrying because most of these people, we can't control them. And if we are able to control them at the border stage, I'm sure it will be easier for us to deal with them, since for them, we would not we can't locate their homes, but with our street children, the possibility of us locating homes for them would be possible. So I just want to also say that, yes, most of these cultural practice, as a Pan-African, I believe that we cannot abolish them, but we should find a way to marry it in such that children that are born out of cultural deficit will not be in the lorry stations. We should think as a political party, how do we marry these two, or what can we do to support these kids that are in the street on not on their own will, but because culture or circumstances have made them go this way. And I was happy when Audrey was talking about us getting vocational training for children or street children is very important. Maybe we can think of street schools too, or something that can encourage them not to go into gambling and taking drugs, but rather go to school or vocational training. If they get to a certain age, they can have a direction because of a basic training that they have. I can tell you that most of these street children, most of them have refused to go to school or have dropped out of school, and they are in the street because it's either a day they can get a CD, 1 CD or 2 CD, either working for somebody or even stealing from other people. So it makes it more comfortable for them to stay in this street, and we should see how we can marry it without destroying culture, because I believe that some of the cultural practices is to solidify the extended family system, which as Pan-Africanists we want to do to solidify the extended family system. So we should start thinking of something like that. I just want to also touch a bit on affordable housing. It's true, I think in 2016 thereabout, the government started something on affordable housing, but you ask yourself, how affordable is those affordable houses, and who can be in those houses? In Bolga, I know we have them, but ironically, it's rather the rich that are living in those affordable houses, and it kills the whole idea of affordable housing for people without homes. So maybe if we can get not affordable houses, but rather affordable, conducive homes for kids, it will make it easier for us to tackle children on the street. We can have, we can talk around issues on either helping the grandmother who was left with the kid, or maintaining the mother in the house, either with a vocational training or a kind of job that instead of them going down south to seek for greener pastures, they would rather be in the houses to take care of the kids, and also look after them with either a capital or something that they are doing. Audrey mentioned something on social welfare, which is very important. The social welfare, we have to restructure it. It's unfortunate we have the social welfare, but I personally don't know what the social welfare is doing. The only news I mostly hear is when there is severe case, either domestic violence case, either rape or defilement, Once in a blue moon, I see the social welfare work, but they are there for us. The social welfare, the community development, and the gender ministry have to work together when it comes to street children, because these are the offices that can help us do more, make more impact on children or kids on the street, and we can restructure the social welfare. Unfortunately, in Ghana, I see that most offices, they don't work together. The social welfare, the community development, the gender ministry, and even DOPSU should be a compound organization that when a case happens, so far as it's a social welfare issue, the possibility that it can be a community issue, a gender issue, or a DOPSU issue is very high. So it is time we start compounding these agencies together to solve problems. It will make it more effective for them that when they start with a particular problem, it goes round and is being solved, and is solved effectively. But now these agencies are working in separation. Most officers don't contact, or they don't refer to the other agencies to see whether this case have been brought here, what have been done here with this case, but we work in isolation, and it's difficult for us to solve problems, especially when it comes to street children. And PAG, if we want an effective system that can combat streetism, it should be something that we should be thinking about, and it would help a lot. I would want to end by saying that the street is not a place for children especially to be in, because nowadays it is very dangerous and it's very risky, and politicians are using street children for their dirty job. They are using street children for campaigning and assassination issues, or the risky, the dangerous issue. They go to the lorry stations and they look for the macho, they ask for the most wild boy or guy in the street to go and do dirty work in the street. And we should also keep that in mind. I believe that one day, if we are here as a political party, we should desist from using the less vulnerable to do things that would not bring development to the party and the country as a whole. So politicians, even now, should desist from doing that, because it's making streetism more and more dangerous for them, even though most of them wish they were not there, but they are there because of certain things. We should make it a bit comfortable for them to stay in. And I would like to also put in conclusion that those less privileged, especially people living with disability on the street, we realize that we have affluent people that put them on the street to beg for them. They give them daily quota, that they give them a spot and a daily quota to beg for funds. And when the day ends, they come and get the money and give them a token of it, which is very, very unfortunate, but it's happening even in Bolga. And it is something that we should be careful of. And maybe we can also have a policy that would take specific care of people with disability on the street so that people don't take advantage of them. And with this, I would like to end, and maybe if there's questions, suggestion, and contribution, we can continue from there. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good indeed.
Thank you very much.
That was really very helpful in all the different aspects that you spoke of. So I will open it up for discussion and for questions. If Brother Dan is here, were you able to queue up any questions that have already been asked?
Yes, there's a question from Brother Kwesi about the childbearing issue. Brother Kwesi, do you want to ask your question? You're muted, Brother Kwesi.
Okay. I didn't get it very well, so I would like Linda to go over it.
Okay.
What do you mean by children who are forced to have babies? By whom? Is that a cultural issue, or is due to the economy? The economy of the family situation that will make. I didn't understand it very well.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if you can go over it a little bit more, because I have a few issues.
So
yeah.
Culturally, when let me just assuming my mother have all baby girls.
Yeah.
She's not having a boy. Culturally, one of us as girls have to stay in the house. That means we are not supposed to marry, but stay in the house and give birth to children for with the assumption
Okay.
that
Let me stop you right there.
Yeah.
Let me stop you right there. Give birth, it means you have to sleep with somebody.
Yes,
to get pregnant.
yes.
And who is that? Who is that person in the household?
It's not somebody in the household.
Okay, go over that.
But mostly it is a man that you can't get married to. We call it tabia. It means you can have sex with that person, but you can't marry that person, also because of cultural reasons. So that man impregnates you and you give birth to your mother in the house. So that is the complex issue when it comes to that type of culture. First, they are doing it because they want the mothers or the father's family to still have a
male
parent.
child.
Yes, a male child. And because of that, they want to maintain that family so it doesn't collapse. So they do whatever they can do to keep people in that particular family in case in future your mother and your father dies, who takes care of that family? So they want somebody to be there to take care of that family. So that is how the cultural aspect plays a role when it comes to the childbearing issue. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, thank you. I think I'll leave our chairman, our chairman, to help me understand this. Okay.
But can I just ask, what is the guarantee that the person is going to have a male child? Is it that they expect the person to keep having children until they have a male child?
Exactly. So the person mostly they keep some can give birth to 4 or 5 kids, and they are all girls.
My goodness.
Yes. they can, and if you give even the third child, you can't, like, you have given up hope of marriage because you already have kids in the house.
Right.
And most men would not like to marry even if your third born is a baby boy. No one would like to marry you after 3 babies in the house. So culturally, you are stuck to remain
Okay.
in the house.
Yeah, Linda.
Yeah, but I think
Yeah.
some people can also help me in.
Yeah,
seeing-
I like everyone else was listening in stunned silence for a while as you described some of these instances, just as when Audrey was speaking. And but you know, you talked a bit about preserving culture, and I wanted to discuss that a little bit because I think that cultural practices do not occur in isolation. And cultural practices are also not static. As a society develops, cultural practices change because they existed for a particular purpose in that society at that time. So we have to look at our present situation and see what is the purpose that these practices were fulfilling that are now being fulfilled in other ways. That is, if all girls are educated very early and they are economically emancipated early and they have opportunities early, then then it doesn't really matter whether you are a boy or a girl, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we have to begin to think about solutions that are also driven by the communities themselves. That is, what is it that they are looking for in the community to guide us to find these solutions, but not to simply say because something is a culture, we have to preserve it. I think that that would be problematic because culture, you know, for example, even in a particular ethnic group, you'll find that the people in the urban areas have a particular kind of culture and those in the rural areas have a particular kind of culture because of different economic, social, and other realities. So I think your description really has been an education for me, for sure, you know, and I think for all of us, in terms of the scope of the difficulties and the fact that we would have to have very serious engagement with community people to identify problems and to join them to find solutions. Many of the solutions, I think, are economic. Many of them have to do with providing opportunities for young people to develop and be creative and be part of a functioning society. So just as Audrey pointed out earlier, there are structural problems in our society, the change in the way the education system, you know, so it's interesting. The education system was structured in a way that had social and developmental advantages for young people before. But when it was changed, those advantages disappeared, you know, because as Audrey pointed out, in those days, you actually achieved and continued adolescence within a very structured environment. And so people developed shared ideas as adolescents and before they went to secondary school. Now, if you have varied adolescent experiences and then you come to an institution, then it's a very, very different prospect. And also you are in the senior secondary school for 3 years. In my time, we were there for 7 years. You know, so it's very, very different. You know, so we have to begin to look at what has the new system taken away, what curricular changes we have to make in the new system, and how we can create those opportunities in the communities for young people to develop more appropriately. I think that's how, and PAG has been really talking about this because we've been thinking about what we are now calling, let's just call them youth clubs, that we have to roll out nationally with a clear curriculum to help young people with cultural identity, social skills development, and you know, other things. But I think I'll stop there. Thank you.
Okay, I think Dr. Sola, I'm sorry, go ahead. Dr. Sola has his hand up, and after that, Dr. Tempuri also has his hand up. So Dr. Sola, go ahead.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to share a personal story based on Linda's narration. And then, even though, like Dr. Olsen said, it's obsolete, traditionally, the man was regarded as the person of security in the home. And for now, I don't think that holds in terms of our culture right now, growth and development. But that had a very, very serious psychological impact. For instance, my sibling, the firstborn, was a girl. So whenever my mom was pregnant, she would come back home. And when my mom gave birth, it was a boy, and she would leave. So we were 6. I mean, 5, including her, 6. So each time my mom was pregnant, she would come home expecting a girl. And that didn't happen. Then she left. What happened later on, when she got married, she was expecting a boy. That is the culture, but she never had one. All are girls. And so the husband divorced, or I mean, they separated. If I were not to help her come to the US, she would have been dead by now. She's here right now with all her 4 girls. That is what the impact of some of the cultural practices that we have. I just wanted to give that personal story. And then piggyback into my question for Audrey and Linda. First question is, I know as a board member, you may have worked a lot. I just wanted you to share some ideas of what you faced if you did work with some of the officials or government organizations. That's for Audrey. Just a few examples of what we are heading towards as a potential political party and what we can do to address those deficits. And second, to Linda, speaking of strategism, have you been able to work with some of the chiefs traditionally, being a native of Bolga, and how has that been successful? If not, what are the things that we need to be looking at? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Can Audrey go first? Audrey, are you still there?
Okay, I'm here. Okay. Definitely, when you go to, I mean, like I've been visiting certain areas in the central region. That was based on like going to talk to the district assemblies, to check the schools, what they are eating, about nutrition. I went to the high what do you call it? The areas that had the high levels of malnutrition. And I spoke to the people at the assembly. At first, they were a bit, you know how they can be a bit cautious. And I wanted to visit one of the schools. Fortunately for me, the lady in charge of girl child education told me they had a model school, like Awutu. So I went there. She took me there to see the girls. They are taking these girls from very poor homes, but the girls were bright, you know, so they had set up a model school. So I've been going there to mentor them. Anyway, I was lucky, I got this break. They were very cooperative. But what bothered me a bit, I decided to, just go document, you know, the meeting, interaction with them. And I took souvenirs, soft drinks, and I took souvenirs, branded mat sets from the NGO I work with, and exercise books. I took a lot of things for them. And of course, the people, some of the directors followed me from the district assembly office. I wanted to share the things out to the girls and even give the teachers from the other classrooms and other schools that were around. They just took a little bit, gave to the girls, you know, and then packed the rest in their car and drove off to the offices. And I realized that these people, you can walk into the office to meet opposition, but we also have to go there bearing gifts, not gifts, but get gifts for the children we are supposed to see. If we have to meet any government official, they realize that we are coming with no bad intention. And my idea is, yes, we go and see the children, We are not talking to them about politics. We are just helping them, and as usual, giving them hope. If it's when you teach them something in the classroom, they take it home and try to teach their mothers and their siblings who are not part of this program that they are enjoying. And eventually, when you decide that, yes, we're going to go out and you go to the villages, they'll remember you and say, oh, yeah, these people came to help us. They didn't come and give us soap, promise us soap and fix our streets. They helped us. So now we are all, aiming for the skies. That is what I've seen. But I've been to other places too. Of course, when I go, I talk to them. And even the workers, the government officials are complaining. You know, sometimes they put the budgets money for HIV and things like that, and they never see it. You know, for the cases. The hospitals do not have any doctors. You know, the pastors and the healing camps, prayer camps have sprung up in all those villages. That is where the villagers go to. You know, they don't have money, but their money, all the money they have are being used in those places, and the government officials are not doing anything. I think maybe in the rural areas, it's easier to deal with them. But I wouldn't go to any office in Accra because everybody has, you know, they have attitudes. They think that you can't tell them what to do. So I prefer to deal with the people in the rural areas. At least the impact, you see better results there than in Accra. So it's easy. We can solve the problem.
Okay. Okay, Linda, do you have anything to add? Linda.
Yeah, about the street kids and chiefs or opinion leaders. Yes, as you had, my first, I think the first work I ever did was working with street kids, and my experience is that we go to the chiefs and other opinion leaders, the assemblymen, to see how we can bring back these kids to the houses. But the challenge is always that, yes, we can accept some of the kids because we know their mother. We know the father who fathered them, the man who fathered them. And there are others that they are adamant to accept them because of certain reasons. Another issue is that we used to give them either to the aunties. We go to the lorry parks. Do you have an auntie or an uncle that you think you'll be comfortable with living with this person? And the person will say, oh yes, I have an auntie somewhere, maybe in Tamale or even in Bolga, but a different area in Bolga. But the challenge is that if you send these kids there, those people expect you to give them feeding fee to take care of their own relative. So it ends up not really solving anything. And these family members get angry with the kids and they end up going back to the street. So that is the challenge. But the chiefs, most of them are really, they want to solve the problem, but most don't really know how, even though we give suggestions on how maybe for it not to increase, why not talk of changing certain part of the culture, which I know you know that most chiefs will not really accept something like that, but they wish there was no street children, even though they are not willing to change what is making the children go back to the street. So that is a kind of complicated and complex solutions that maybe here we can brainstorm on how we can involve the chiefs and other opinion leaders to help solve this challenge. Yeah.
Thank you, Linda. Wow, this is...
I see that Dr. Adams, the hand is up. Maybe he might want to add or say something on it. Of course, he's more.
Well, I'm not going to add to the issue of the chiefs. I wanted to make a comment on the latter bit, just for those who may be interested in understanding more and to try and pull together the implications.
Listen. All right.
There's
Please
some noise
mute yourself if you're not speaking.
Hello, I was saying that my intention is to comment on the latter bit of it and then draw some references and make some implications for PAG going forward. For those who are interested in understanding a bit better about Northern culture and some of the practices that seem completely strange, like what Linda was describing, like the tabia, etc. The authority on this, Mayor Fortis, who wrote in 1945, The Dynamics of Clanship Among the Talensi and the Web of Kingship Among the Talensi, has extensively documented all the network of cultural practices, religion, etc. And my PhD covered that terrain, and I know that there hasn't been not that level of anthropological work ever since then, but it is more or less like the baseline of knowledge. Now, the question is, what are the key things that one can take from Mayor Fortis' analysis? The way in which culture, traditions are related to economy and means of survival or social reproduction. So therefore, when a household realizes that if they do not have any male children, there's a likelihood that they are part of the family may die off. They have to find mechanisms by which they continue the survival of the family. At the time, it was more or less self-organizing, self-balancing, and mutually reinforcing among families. But what has happened is that the economic circumstances that many people face in rural Ghana has completely altered the fundamental basis and logic of these cultural practices, to the extent that some of them has created a disconnection between the social consciousness, the cultural practices, and people's means of survival. What do I mean? You find certain things that you can say that, okay, at the time it made sense, now it doesn't make sense. Around 1945, everybody was everybody's other's keeper. The head of the household was responsible for making sure that the male children married, made sure that everybody had something to eat. Now, nobody even has enough to eat anyway. So that responsibility is completely gone. But I was asking Linda and also Hillary quietly whether, to what extent have some of these practices are they still prevalent? They still exist. And in my own family, I have had to deal with situations where of a young woman being married off several times by her father, and having children. She was taken out of primary school and married off, etc. Now, the challenge is this: going forward as a political organization, that we have to realize that we have an uphill task. First and foremost, understand that the consciousness and awareness in an urban setting is different from what happens in a rural setting. That much as the economic realities of people have changed, their consciousness changes very, very slowly. And because Mayor Fortis was also a psychologist, he tried to dig a bit deeper into a lot of these cultural practices in a sense that probably can explain their enduring nature. The implication for me, PhD going forward, is that, look, you cannot do political work and address these things as a go in and go out affair. What that means is that you have to have people within the communities resident there, understanding and organizing and supporting victims as they evolve. Now, in the urban centers, a lot of the things that we talk about, for example, in our traditional culture, there is nothing like divorce. Linda, if you agree with me.
Yes, true.
The conditions for divorce are so absurd. Either you are a witch, or you can't do something, or you stole, or you can't give birth. I think if I remember correctly. But in my own home, there are women who have gone ahead and started new relationships, irrespective of what the culture says. So what that means is that as PhD begins to establish roots, we must give some close attention to the units or branches or work done in rural areas, insofar as building a base of addressing some of the issues of economic and social justice. Now, in the urban centers, it's slightly different because some of the people have more or less won their freedom. They have developed relationships that necessarily do not subscribe to the cultural practices. But having said that, I've found some of these practices so enduring that I keep on asking what makes them still so dominant in the minds of people. First, education is another. One would have thought that with religious practices, many of these, with Christianity, many of these would have gone away, but it hasn't really changed that very much because majority of people in the rural areas are still worshiping traditional religions, etc. That does not mean that, Christian religion is necessarily better because at the end of the day, it has its own weaknesses. Anyway, let me stop here and see if this adds to the conversation.
Yes. Okay, thank you for that. Is there any other comment or question?
Yes, Brother Kwesi, we do have one about education in schools, Brother Kwesi.
Yeah, I realized Audrey and Linda both work with these kids and they visit these communities. But our schools educate in these communities, or more schools have to be built. Atamburi just made mention of education and things like that. But is it a question of these kids not having access to education, or there are no schools at all in some of these districts? You know, any one of them can maybe elaborate a little bit on that.
Okay.
Audrey.
Audrey, are you okay? Let me just say something on the schools. For us, I would say that it's not really the matter of the schools not being there, but how school friendly are these schools for the street kids? That should be the question. Most of the school talks or teaches normally, and it mostly refers to your father and your mother in the house. They give homework and they refer to when you go to the house, do it with your father or your mother. And these kind of schools indirectly sack these street kids because, first of all, I don't know who my father is in the first place. So if we have schools that are street friendly, it will help maintain these people in the schools. But most of the schools are there, but they are not really street friendly. Now we have the government absorbing something like the typing fee, the school fees, to aiming more children to go to school. But I feel we can do more, not just paying for typing fee and school fees, but the content of what is being taught in schools should be more accommodating so that anyone who is not having a parent or who doesn't know his father or mother can still go there and be comfortable. I think that's the different perspective I am coming from. Yeah.
Thank you, Linda. Audrey, are you?
Yes, I'd just like to add to what Linda is saying. There are adequate schools, there are enough schools, but when the government decided to do this school feeding program, you know, for certain schools, it's not all the schools that enjoy it. Even the government schools in the rural areas, maybe in a place where they have 30 schools, there's only 3 that have that facility. So what happens is that the other schools, maybe there are 30 schools with 3, having the school feeding program, the 27 schools will be empty. Everybody will come to the schools where the food is free, where the government is giving food. So they have schools, but they don't have students. Or even if they don't get admission in the 3 schools, the children will rather be truants. They won't go to school because their schools do not have food. And any child who goes to school on an empty stomach will not learn anything. I remember I went to one school in Ekunfi. I wanted to visit the kitchen. I barged my way into the place and I told them I wanted to see the kind of food the kids were eating. And the headmaster told me point blank that the woman in charge of the school feeding program said her food was finished. She was now going to Accra or District Assembly to go and collect money to buy food. And this was on a Tuesday. So I said, when will the children eat? They said, oh, maybe next week, Monday, because she brings the food on Monday, she'll not be able, Friday, she'll not be able to do anything until Monday or Tuesday. So I said, what happens to the children who only have 1 meal a day, who come to school to eat because there's no food at home? They said, oh, they'll have to go to the canteen to buy food. And I said, why would they buy food? If they have money to buy food, they'll rather eat at home. So that means they're going to come to school with no money to even buy food from the canteen and go back home hungry. So I asked the headmaster that, this is a farming community, why can't they ask the parents, if the woman has no food, if they can't ask the parents, the farmers will bring two pan loads of cassava, somebody can bring bushmeat or palm oil, kontomire, they can just eat it like that, or beans. He said they used to do it. And I think somebody got upset, politicians got very upset. And they wrote him a letter and he showed me the letter. He said, this is the letter. He said, nobody, don't solicit for any food from any member of the community or who will be transferred to a West area. He showed me the letter and I was very upset. I said, these are children, their parents are farmers. They sell everything they harvest. And there's no food for them. Somebody is playing politics with the children's meals. You say so for the whole week, you don't feed the kids because you say there's no money or there's no food. So children come to school hungry. And it's not even school that is benefiting from this school feeding program. That's not we get the impression that every school is having it and the government schools. It's not so. In the rural areas, maybe 2 out of 40. So no child can learn on an empty stomach. So that is something that we also have to address. And unfortunately, the people who are doing the program are not cooks. They've subcontracted them. They've given maybe one woman has 10 schools in the community to feed. And she gives it to somebody who sells maybe what, okay, cook this, or get somebody, cook rice and beans. The person who will take her share and give the children rubbish to eat. It's unfortunate that because of COVID, the schools are closed. But when they open, I'll go back there and just go in, just to see what the kids are being fed on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, we see there is a lot to do here. Yeah. Okay. Is there any other question or comment?
Sure, I have a brief one.
Okay.
I think that I was just reflecting on this. I think that even though we are talking about politics, one of the major problems we have had over the last 30 years or so in Ghana is how decisions and implementation of government decisions by public servants, have been taken away from trained public servants, and everything has been politicized. I think in the past, things happened, even like this school feeding thing that Audrey is describing, that it would be actually a public service. It wouldn't be a political appointee who is responsible for the program in the area or somebody like this. So this would run through the the public service itself. And one of the things that has happened quietly in Ghana over time, I mean, we've been talking about the education system, is also that the public service itself, the civil service itself, has been completely beaten to the ground, so that there isn't a cadre of public servants who are actually very committed to implementing government programs, irrespective of which political party is in power. But their job is to make government run. And all of this has also disappeared. I mean, so when we're thinking about the scope of what we have to do, we also have to think about that. I mean, Linda was talking about how the different agencies that affect children, whether it's DOFSU or social welfare or community development, are totally not integrated. Yeah. You know, these are some of the things that if a government is focused on its citizens as a primary purpose, then basically you find a way of making life easier for the citizen who is looking for a service. And because it's fragmented, you go to one place and they'll tell you, okay, when you finish, take this paper and go to this other place. And then when you finish, take this paper and go to that other place. And of course, in our system, with each stop, you have to drop something, right? By the end, you are completely defeated and not able to. So again, I think even the public service itself, we have to examine very closely. And I don't know how you do it, but we have to find ways of really depoliticizing it. You have to begin to train people again who, you know, in my parents' generation, I mean, for example, I you know, just to use my own father as an example, was a civil servant. It wasn't until he died, like 2 weeks before he died, that he actually wrote on paper that he was a member of the CPP. You know, I mean, people may have known that, but he would never accept that as a public servant. He just did his job for whatever government was there. And this has also changed. So, you know, in the past, ministries were actually run by the principal secretaries who were not politicians. They were public servants. And they actually advised the politicians on what was good and what was not good, what was working. But now politicians come in and order public servants to follow programs that they, the politicians, have put together completely uninformed by data from the community that they are purporting to serve. So I'm just saying that is another big piece of the work that has to be accomplished. Thanks.
Thank you.
Dr. Tempugri has his hand up also.
Yes, just some quick one, just a quick comment on what Ted Olson has just said. I wish I had the liberty to provide further and better particulars as to what he's describing, because from 2015 to 2016, I did some job in the office of the president, and there's a lot of evidence to support what he's saying about the role of politicians running roughshod over the civil service and using civil service to produce an agenda, which is essentially out of sync with what they know is the right thing to do. But the point I was trying to make is because my concern is more about going forward and what PAG needs to do. One of the things that I think Ghana is suffering from is the over-politicization of so many things. You just can't be somebody who is interested in people's welfare just for their welfare. You have to be either MPP or NDC. Mm-hmm. It's sickening. But it means that the type of politics, the way we build has to be different. And I'm suggesting that we should consider carefully how we could have a developmental arm. What do I mean? That look, at the end of the day, if we are about economic and social justice, it doesn't happen around elections. Mm-hmm. It has a permanent life of its own. It's a daily lived experience. And activists have to be there trying to help people as they get along, trying to solve their daily routine problems. What happens in Ghana today is that politicians go to sleep when the elections are over, and they re-emerge again and distribute monies when the elections come. And that is why it's so frustrating that if you are a political party and you don't distribute money, you don't get anywhere. But it's understandable, because the practice that they know is that, hey, they come and they get voted and they go and they disappear. if PAG is to be different, then we have to have a developmental presence. What I mean by developmental presence, I had a discussion with Linda in terms of the work that she was doing with young girls, etc., about how to build a consistent stream of work around young girls and menstruation, etc., etc. There's a lot of development work that can be done, which has a very high political content. But to avoid being seen as just a typical politician, you must have a presence that has impacted on their lives. Yeah? For example, on my part, irrespective, independent, and Linda and Hillary know this, been involved in supporting the girl child education, sponsored about 72 students through the 3 years of the senior high school until free HS came, and we stopped it. The point being that as we go into starting PAG on ground, we have to rethink how we organize and what we do. Heritage clubs, education, all of that is important. The multiplicity of interventions required is something that we need to address quite seriously, because there can't be one size fits all. And we have to look at every context, every community, and see what is the most appropriate mode of intervention that we need to put in place to ensure that we make a difference to people's lives. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Okay. Is there any other?
Yes. I wanted one thing both Linda and Audrey mentioned, school curriculum, all right, and how that's changed over the years, where it's, I don't know how effective currently is, right? But it seems like that should be an area of focus in the education sector of PAG. And the curriculum, I think, needs to be incorporate not just a national standard, but also local standard that would, in each area, incorporate what's necessary and what's important in each area to that curriculum. So, I think Dr. Olsen said it's not a one size fit all kind of thing. But, so there should be national standards that everybody's taught to. So, but also we need to look at locally what's important in that area. All right. Trying to teach, someone from a farming community about certain things might not necessarily be applicable. So that's something that I think we need to look at currently, about how to develop a curriculum that is effective and works, in all communities on that.
Thank you. Okay.
Well, what I wanted to say before I leave was concerning Audrey's presentation about the school feeding program. I think quite a lot of time right now, as I see it, just about everything, Thad also mentioned it, go through the politicians. The politicians control everything because they want to go back to the community and say, well, I brought this type of development to this area, but what will we do to take the power out of politicians? Okay, if school feeding program, do we have a centralized kitchen in this community where food is prepared and they are paid directly to buy the food and to do this without any politician controlling what is going on in the community? Because somebody said somebody left and went to the city to collect money. We want the city to be able to wire direct their money based on the budget for the school feeding program without it going through any politician's hands, so we know that they get it to buy the foodstuffs and to prepare the food for the children. I would like to see something like that, a system where we can implement these things without a politician actually putting their hands on the money. And I want to know how that is done. You went into a kitchen and you inquire from the caterers, what is going on. I don't understand that, a whole lot of things that I don't understand. Maybe, I need further explanation and how the whole system is run, the school feeding program. It's kind of a little awkward to me. Who prepares the food for the children? Is it by a caterer, individual caterer, or a group of people, like a team, something like that, how we can improve.
Based on the party.
Based on the party. Yeah, based on the party right now, but how do we even if PAG is the government right now, how will we do something like that? So each, community will have.
Yeah, I think, a lot depends on, if you want the community to be self-sufficient, again, maybe, okay, the contribution of the government is money, but the processes through which the end is achieved should be in the hands of the community. One community may find that they may do it this way, another that way. I think the government's role is to facilitate growth and development across the place. So we have inputs. The community is not a passive participant. They are people. They know themselves more than anybody in Accra knows them. And I think that's the mentality that has gone on for a long time, which we have to change, that the community should be an active participant with the government in shaping, even if it's a school feeding program. In our district, this is how we would like to do it to cover all the children in our district. Another district may have a different way of doing it. At least the government should have certain basic minimum requirements in terms of what is fed, nutrition, and qualifications of the cooks and things like this. But the community must run itself, and I think that's where we have failed. Nothing is decentralized anymore. Even the food that a child is going to eat at Asebu is determined by somebody who is in Accra. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you Dr. Uzo mentioned as well is the fact that everything is done devoid of following any data. The politicians take it and then they do it according to their desires and pleasure, rather than actually knowing how many mouths are to be fed in a particular area, even and who are the families or parents that are even willing to contribute certain things to the community, whether it's a central body within a particular area that is going to disseminate to the various schools in terms of how many schools they're dealing with, how many people are in the schools that require this type of service. And when none of that is being considered, it's not surprising that the person distributing the food or providing the food for the students runs out, within a short period of time, because they have not really factored in how many people they are needing to service at the time. So there is a whole gamut of areas that I think needs to be looked at in terms of putting something like a proper programming in place. Yeah.
I have a question for Audrey. In the scenario, the story she told us about the school where the caterer had to go to Accra or wherever to get money to buy food. When they're buying food, are they buying it from, if it's a farming community, are they buying it from the community, or they take the money and go buy food from the outside to bring it into the community?
Okay. I asked those questions. I said that in the rural areas, they're supposed to help the farmers by buying from the community.
Yeah, exactly.
But of course, areas like that, they want to give rice. I mean, I remember I bought some cocoyam and sweet potatoes and things from the cassava. It was so cheap. I had to come and give them out to my neighbors. So, I mean, they could give the children food from the community, buy from the communities, but no, the rice that maybe they are giving to the kids is being sold by a politician. Maybe some 10th grade rice or something, some, broken rice they cook. That's why I wanted to even go to the kitchen just to see what the children are being fed with. You give them plenty rice and maybe a little palm oil, no meat, nothing.
Look at that.
And what I was going to tell them, the reason why I went there, was based on nutrition. I tell them that you can't give a child rice and oil. Apparently, sometimes you just do rice and just pour oil over it with some sliver of onions or something, no meat, and plenty MSG. The food is laced with MSG to enhance the flavor. It's very sad. They don't bother. And the farmers take the food to the market. Sometimes the food goes to waste. So the headmaster said, okay, at least let's ask them to bring food so the children can eat. What's a letter to him? You know, so whatever goes on in those areas is not very nice, but everybody there is also afraid to open their, mouths to say things or complain, or they'll be sent to a worse area.
Yeah.
Wow.
Can I say something?
Yes, Mike on. Yeah. Oh, brother Quay.
Yes, this is Quay. I think that the discussions that we're having, this discussion is so important. I hope that we're thinking of policies that are going to come out of discussions like this, because these problems that we're identifying should be the basis for how we run the government. And so we should be we should be writing down, we should be noting what policies we're going to pass and what shall I say, implement if and when we come to power. This is a very powerful conversation that we're having, and the issues that are coming out. This is what will make us, in one term, will make us a 10-term or a 50-year government. And, because people see these things, people understand that these are problems. And if we can come up with solutions, the way will be clear for a very long time. So let's note the policies that we can develop out of these conversations.
Thank you. That is the basis of the town halls, actually, to be able to come up with, identify the problems or the issues on the ground so we can formulate the way forward in terms of policies and what actually impacts the people on the ground. So thank you for also raising it and bringing it, highlighting it even further. Yeah. All right.
I always have something to say. I always have something to say.
Okay, go ahead, please.
I'm the only one who is talking, but no, because when I look at this, somebody is asking, do we buy the food locally? Okay, in the north, I drive around Accra and I see young men holding yams. Yam is something that we can service. When we went to school in class one, we'll just buy yam and salted yam, in the morning to eat, and we're okay. We don't have to make these, food.
That's why you are so short.
Too much yam.
Too much yam. But likewise, look at the people in Central Region. What do you produce? Nyamransa, they are noted for kenke. We can feed children kenke in a certain area. That's your food. Accra have kenke also. Komi for all children in that area. So I don't see this as a problem. Is the implementation. How do we get it done? That is where we start. But the food is there. The local foods are there. Oranges is, all kinds of fruits everywhere that we can sell. So yeah, Linda said Quay said we have to. It's a very important issue, because when we do these things right, it may be very simple, but children we can capture a lot of parents, who will be relieved with the economic situation of their children, feeding them, and all of that. I think it's a very important thing. So we make a joke of it. I make a joke of it, but it's something that
Kwesi, it's important because, for example, different parts of the country can say that this year we have cassava, we are going to send it to these folks, and they're going to send us this much yam because they have an excess of it. And, it doesn't even have to involve as much money.
No.
But knowledge of what different regions need and what they have. And people can make these trades themselves. Maybe the government's role may be to facilitate these things from happening after the communities have identified them. That's what government needs to do. Yeah.
Can you see my hand? Can you see my hand up?
Yeah, sorry. Yes, Adote.
Okay, I wanted to just intervene if I can, briefly.
Sure.
Okay, I think like many people, many of the other people have, as they have indicated, they found what was said earlier quite informative. And I certainly want to add my voice to that. What it makes me think of is that perhaps there are three levels that some of the issues that have been raised can be at least tackled, if not necessarily resolved, because solving a problem is different, it's a different issue, but at least tackled. Now, I think there's a level, what I would call the sort of the sort of micro level, or the at community level, village level, and I have to I'm going to identify that level, but I don't really think I have anything that is insightful to say about that, because I think that's an issue of kind of sociology, really. Understanding, I think, Thaddeus, you made the point, it's understanding the cultures, seeing them from within, and trying to identify what kind of intervention you can make that will produce a change. I won't pretend to be an expert in that, but I can see that is an area. Those who are specialists in that kind of work would be able to enter it and advise, that these are the kinds of interventions that can be made. Where I feel a bit more comfortable to talk about are the two levels above that, okay? Some of which you have been discussing, which I would call the kind of meso level, let's say. So the first level is what I would call the micro. The second level is what I would call the meso level. And that is to do, for example, with like the things you're talking about. What are the prices that are offered to communities that produce, let's say, generally agricultural produce, such that they are not impoverished, such that they have a livelihood that produces for them a surplus, and so on. And with that in mind, I just would like to draw attention to people, or remind them, they may already have seen it, of what is happening in India at this present time, where the Indian government has introduced a market-based system which the farmers believe impoverishes them, okay? And it is true that in many developed countries, agriculture is subsidized. But those who subsidize their agriculture come and tell us that we should allow the market to rule our agriculture. And when you let the market rule your agriculture, those who produce food and other raw materials are shortchanged and impoverished. And the Indian farmers are telling their government that they will not accept this. But the point is that I'm just sort of saying, so those people are organized and they're making their voices really heard. In our case, usually, they are not so well organized and they're not able to make their voices heard. And so the governments can get away with instituting procedures and mechanisms that market mechanisms that impoverish the people in the countryside. So there's something to be done at that level, which is about how governments regulate agricultural markets, to put a kind of cap on it, as it were, and identify it. And that's something that needs to be looked at in terms of as a development policy. At the macro level, the top level, so to speak, at the economy-wide level, I would say that our economies are deprived of employment because of the way in which the system that we're in gets us to behave. Okay, our economies are deliberately deprived of employment. We get globalized, so we open our doors. We say any foreign capital can come in and establish a business. We say that we should, our procurement policies should be open and so on and transparent. Our foreign exchange policy should be such that our currencies can free float. But the result of these things is that we don't build productive capacity within our own economies. And so we have a population that has no real employment. And so when all is said and done, that level also needs to be addressed, okay? That we deliberately institute a policy where we provide employment for our people. And the way to do that is to have what we would call sectors of the economy or projects that are have economies of scale, the characteristic of which, the short word for that would be industrializing, all right? So we have to build our own kind of industrializing sectors of the economy, preferably with our own businesses that engage in that activity. And that is what will allow, that is what will create ongoing employment within our economies. Not just employment, but employment that is increasingly well paid, because if you industrialize, you increase the productivity of your labor, and therefore what people can be paid can increase. So people have prosperity, not just lots of low paying jobs, but lots of higher paying jobs. So I think that this, what is being raised, it forces us, well, my suggestion is that it makes us look at 3 levels of engagement, 3 levels of intervention. To deal first with the issue of, that we need to be able to provide good employment for our citizens. We need to be able to deal with the market-related issues about how the state regulates markets. And we need to be able to deal with the sociological issues on the ground at the micro level. So that's my kind of general intervention that I would like to just, contribute to the discussion.
Good, good.
Thank you for that. Yeah. Okay, so I think unless there is anyone else that wants to add to the discussion,
Yeah.
Is there any other hand up?
I was just going to say, Adote's, synthesis of the whole thing is very helpful, because as Dr. Quay said, we have to find a way to translate everything that we've experienced or talking about into a policy direction. And I think Adote's summary has been very helpful to get our minds around what are the possible directions to go in. So thanks very much. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was actually going to say, unless there is any other hand up, I will pass it back to the chairman. So.
Okay, all right.
You're welcome.
Well, okay. Well, thanks everyone, especially our 2 speakers, Audrey.
Oh, Mr. Dr. Quay.
There is a hand up.
Okay, Michael now.
Yeah. This is my first time joining the meeting in a long time, so I'm seeing strange faces. If you don't mind.
Making up for the past, huh?
Well, introducing some of the faces, yeah. So I can.
Actually, you look strange too. I couldn't tell.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Well, there are quite a number of people here. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know who you don't know. Yeah, I don't know who.
I only know the people in the.
Perhaps you haven't met Adote. Perhaps Linda. Audrey, you may know from Achimota, I suspect.
Which Audrey?
Audrey, she was the presenter.
Audrey Bafo.
One of the presenters.
Okay, well, her picture didn't show when she was presenting, so, and actually, I think I came late. So anyway.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, we can move on. I'll catch up with them later on as we go. I'll try and make every meeting now.
Okay, very well, great. Right. But anyway, so let me ask this. I haven't had a chance to speak. What Brother Adote explained is something that have been on my mind for a long time. I thought I may be dragging things out too much if I asked for further explanation. So I was going to hold off until some other time, but I think we may be able to spare some 2-3 minutes, and I can ask him to explain one little point. Brother Adote, on the third level of your explanation, I have always wondered if, let's say, Ghana decides, okay, let me step back one step. If Ghana were to institute such policies, I suspect that many of those who are now benefiting by dumping on us are going to start crying foul. They will probably be accusing us of protectionist positions, protectionist measures. Is there anything that we can do preemptively before we start, the necessary policies and their implementation? Is there anything we can do preemptively, like maybe forming a regional cooperative, establishment within West Africa or throughout Africa to protect ourselves against their responses? What would likely be their responses? Am I clear?
No. You're muted.
Yes, you're
unmute. Dr. Adote, you need to unmute, please.
Unmute.
Send him a text.
Okay. So that's an excellent question, and there's a joke about if somebody says how do you get to so and so, and they says, oh, this is how you get there, but I wouldn't start from here. And unfortunately, we are in a position which is not in a good position. But various factors have led us to that position, which is that yes, we are susceptible to retaliatory measures by exactly those people who Brother Kofi Roberts has said are benefiting from the system as it is. Because whereas the United States can subsidize its farmers and nobody can complain, or they can complain, but there's nothing they can practically do about it. If we were to do the same, we would find ourselves in difficulty. Part of the problem is that we have signed up to agreements that require us to behave in a certain way. And once we have signed up to those agreements, then it becomes very difficult, because then either we are breaking those agreements or we have to withdraw from those agreements, which are obviously not the same thing, okay? So, or alternatively, we can mobilize in such a way that we can withstand whatever retaliatory measures may be coming our way. So, to be concrete, you may have noticed in the last couple of weeks that Côte d'Ivoire, I'm going to use an example, Côte d'Ivoire and Ghana have taken action against Hershey, the chocolate company. This they can do because Côte d'Ivoire and Ghana contribute the largest share of the world cocoa market. There will certainly be retaliation and there will be undermining. Whether it will be through Abidjan or Ghana, we can't tell. You might think that Ghana is more, it would be harder to undermine Ghana than it is, to do it through Accra than it would be to do it through Abidjan, but nobody knows really. But there will be attempts to certainly undermine. But if the leaders of those two countries are resolute and they take an African perspective, there's no reason why they should not persevere, simply because the product is something that they have the power to control, okay? And so that leads into the question that has been asked, so that if it's an export product, then provided that we are talking about something there where we are a significant minority producer or the majority producer on a global level, then we have some leverage if we want to use it. Of course, we shall pay a price, because those people who say they are our development partners and our friends, but actually don't want us to compete with them, will show their true colors, right? But once we recognize that and we prepare ourselves, we should be able to take some kind of a protective measure. But it's not going to be cost-free. I mean, this is the whole point. It's not going to be cost-free to take those measures. But if we don't take them, we will be paying a bigger cost, but we will not see that cost in the same way. When I talk about, let's say we are deliberately prevented from growing good jobs, we can see that, but we don't see that as a price we are paying by to follow the advice that we're being given, you know. But that is the cost of following the advice that we're being given. We may want to withdraw from some of these agreements. The international trade system is one that has been set up with a particular purpose. The purpose is to break down trade barriers, right? Break down any barriers that countries have put up to protect their own economies. That's the purpose of the international trade system. Now, and we call it globalization, and everybody kind of wants it. But if you are strong enough, you can, as I said, you can ignore those things and do as you will. If you withdraw from the agreements, you have a right to withdraw from the agreements. The question is, do we have a political leadership that is brave enough to do that? Okay, so just to give an example, all African countries except 2 are full members of the WTO. And if you're a full member of the WTO, you're supposed to open up your borders and accept all goods coming from the outside world. And in addition, you may sign agreements like AGOA and economic partnership agreements, AGOA with America and economic partnership agreements with Europe, which mean that they give you a short space of time to open up your economy so they can sell you things, whilst you cannot sell anything. Only 2 African countries are not full members of the WTO in this sense, and therefore don't have to open their economies: Algeria and Ethiopia. So they did not fall for the honey trap, which we have all fallen for, the honey trap, yes? Where we've joined and signed up to these agreements, and now we have difficulty living with them. But we need to then think about how do we, what are the mechanisms? I'm not an international trade lawyer, so there's only so much I can say, but I can point to the direction. We need international trade lawyers to look at what we have signed up to say, how can we put a pause on the things that we have signed up to, so that we are not subject to these winds. Well, they're not winds, they're hurricanes, you know, that blow down our industries, that stop them from even standing up. So that's the area we need to go in. And if we have a government that is willing to look at those issues and find legal ways through them, because usually there always is a legal way through these things. And I mean, the easiest one, which actually Brother Kofi alluded to, is this. So whilst the rules of international trade allow you, or rather require you to open your borders, they also allow you to put up your borders through your regional integration. That is how the European Union has managed to create itself, right? So it's creating a border around Europe in an era when world trade, you know, they are making other people open their borders. But if you are one country, you are forced to open your border. But if you are a group of countries and you have regional integration, you can put a ring around yourself, right? As a customs union, you can do that. So that is the way to go. That if you want to be able to protect yourself, then you need to make common cause with your neighbors so that you can create the beginning, initially a preferential free trade area, and then a customs union, okay? Which will provide you with the protection you need to be able to grow your own industries or to grow your own agriculture and to support your own farmers or to support your own industrialists, if that's what you need to do. So just to summarize, if you occupy the largest chunk, if you provide the biggest slice of the market, you have market power. If you don't, then the next best thing is to do regional integration. That will give you protection. The next best thing is to find a way legally to withdraw or put a pause on the elements of international trade regulation that you are subject to at the present time.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. Very enlightening.
May I say something in addition to that?
Sure.
This is Kwe. I think what Brother Adote has said is dealing at the national level.
Yeah.
But when we talked about this, when he talked about 3 levels, we can also create a system at the local level, the lowest level, because you can't tell someone to eat rice or cassava. So this calls for decentralization. So every community can choose what they want to eat. So if let's say every region or every school district has a budget, they can choose to feed 5 people with rice, or they can choose to feed 50 people with cassava. Alternatively, they can choose to feed their students for a year with rice, or they can choose to, for 6 months with rice, or they can choose to feed their students for a whole year with local produce. So we can get around some of these international demands by creating decentralization and letting people know this is your budget. You can choose rice, or you can choose local produce, and encourage people to use local produce to get around some of these demands of international laws. So this is the way I am looking at it. I think it can be a multi-pronged approach. Yeah.
In agreement. Yeah, there's a lot we can do at the micro level that we haven't even done yet. You know, so there's a lot to be done, even right from the bottom.
Very
Great.
well. Thank you so much.
Today, today we've been at it for a very long time.
As increments, you always go back to incrementism. I see protectionism as not a problem that we can even, we sign an agreement to GMO, or I don't know what it is in Parliament right now. Right, GMO, genetically modified organisms, food. Okay, if we want to feed our children with our local foods, what prevents us from doing that? You see a lot of local foods going rotten. We can opt to feed our children with our own foods. We are more concerned about what we are exporting, even though we can buy cassava and we can buy plantains and yams in America, everywhere right now. But concerning what we use for school feeding program or local consumption, I don't think we have to sign agreements to anything like that. So I'm concerned about GMO. What would be the effect of that agreement on our local production? But we can beat around it. We can go around it, not doing anything illegal by growing our own food.
But the problem is, the problem is GMO seeds are infiltrating our local farms. So it will get to a point where we won't be able to do anything about it, because the maize that is growing locally is GMO maize. Unless we decide that we want to go back to Mexico and get original grains to come in, seriously, to come and promote in the locally. But that's a story for another day.
Anyway, we'll continue. There's a lot people other places are doing, like storing, the natural seeds, in highly protected places, so that the apoptotic seeds can be wiped out at some point and replaced with, those that will produce like they have been producing for us for millennia. So anyway.
All right, folks, we've had a full morning, and if there isn't any other contribution, though I'm afraid to ask that question because this is a very loquacious group and everybody has a brain that's firing on all cylinders and nobody wants to stop. but I think the day is going on, and I do want to thank our two presenters for very insightful and informative presentations based on really work that they are doing locally that has informed this conversation. And so until our next town hall, Dr. Roberts, what's the next one on?
It will be in mid-January.
Okay.
We have to work out the schedule. in the interim.
Okay, so we're going to take a break over the holiday period.
Holiday period,
yeah, and we'll inform everybody about where we start in January. We hope that the Republic continues to stand by January, and we'll all wait and see what happens after Tuesday. So thank you all very much, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year and Happy Edna Bronya and everything else that goes on, Hanukkah, everything in between. Thank you all.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. See you.
And thanks, Phyllis, for moderating this series. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful moderation.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye.